Spiritual Learning Center, where you are empowered to create the life you desire. Our guiding belief is, by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. At Vida, we study and practice the teachings of the science of mind and spirit founded by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, here's today's message.
Hello, and welcome to the Vida Spiritual Connection. I am Reverend Keven Kadel. We are continuing with our 2023 theme of renewing mind and opening heart. The theme for July is freedom, as in freedom to live your best life. Today I'm going to talk about relationship liberation, relationships that liberate. Now, freedom or liberation is a somewhat elusive feeling. Like all God qualities, you have a degree of choice around those feelings. Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is your power to choose your response. In your response lies your growth and your freedom. The feelings, the God qualities of freedom and liberation, therefore, are a little different for each person. And often freedom or liberation is described as a lightness, as a breathing free, as something that's expansive, something that's connective or unitive. It could be described as a flow of something good or positive, that something within is moving or shifting in a positive direction. And it could be described as sort of the mind opening up or the heart opening up, that there are new possibilities in my thinking. Having a clearer idea of the sensations one might call freedom or liberation, the question is, are your relationships freeing or liberating? Are they freeing and liberating for yourself? Are they freeing and liberating for those with whom you are in relationship? And therefore, the relationships I'm talking about today are those healthier relationships that can and do evolve. The relationships and the people in them heal and grow into something that is mutually wonderful and rich and rewarding and fulfilling and liberating. Nelson Mandela says, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." And this is part of that liberating relationship. The Course in Miracles says that relationships are this intensive higher education for your consciousness. You quickly and deeply heal and grow consciousness through conscious relationships. And that begins with that relationship with yourself. And it includes relationships with the divine, relationships with other humans, with critters, with plants, with nature. Really anything that you are in relationship with has that potential of healing and growth. In less than conscious relationships, we'll call them unconscious relationship, it's all about the other. Everything has to do with the other person in the relationship. In conscious relationships, the other is me. So here are some spiritual dimensions of conscious relationship. I'm just going to talk about three right here: mirror, mutuality, and simultaneity. Relationships are a mirror. What you notice or put on the other person in the relationship is in some form or fashion about you. So if I notice, and maybe more accurately say judge the other person, let's say as being rude, it might just be that I'm becoming aware of my own rudeness. Or I might notice conversely that I see the other person being really kind and considerate, and that brings up the question of myself, am I being that kind and considerate? And if not, maybe that's an opportunity to grow. Another dimension is mutual. There is some mutual benefit Doesn't matter if it's a friendly wave to a stranger or a really close relationship. The specific benefit for the two people in the relationship, sometimes that's similar, but it's usually a little bit different. One person in the relationship might be healing and growing communication skills, and the other person in the relationship might be healing and growing trust. And finally, simultaneity. While you are going through stuff in a relationship, the other person is going through their stuff in the relationship. So it's good to be mindful that what's going on with you, there is something equal and perhaps different going on with the other person. A good, bad, or indifferent, introverted or extroverted, casual relationship, a long-term relationship, all relationships precipitate intellectual, spiritual, and emotional growth. There are times when a relationship can feel not free, not liberating. And a person might feel smothered or trapped or obligated or tied down. A relationship in which you are feeling unfree or unliberated, it is mirroring something about you. The other may be feeling something similar, and you are both simultaneously healing and growing something. The relationship in which one person feels unfree, the other person might be going through something that may not be all that freeing or liberating, or the other person might be going through some power and control challenges, and that's part of the dynamic of the relationship at that time, the thing that is coming up to be healed. Of course, A Miracle also says that, all relationships are eternal. It's just the form of the relationship that continually changes. Relationships call up stuff to heal, to bless, to release, to revise, or replace, and therefore relationships are constantly going through phases. All of that is to say, how does one get better? How do I get better at being in conscious relationship? And that happens with an appropriate kind of relationship. And being in conscious relationship can be part of, or an aspect, a facet of your personal spiritual practice, if you so choose. So here are some suggestions, things to do, things to be mindful of and put into practice. Be compassionate. Lead with compassion. Be compassionate with yourself. You are healing, learning, and growing. Always take that moment to be present, to calm mind and body, and be sensitive to something greater going on within that relationship. As you are genuinely more compassionate with yourself, naturally you're more compassionate for those with whom you are in relationship. Listen and learn. Communication skills are vital. And all relationships are that opportunity to improve those communication skills. Therefore, listen not to respond or reply or retort. Listen to hear, listen to learn, to really receive everything someone is communicating to you. And it's an easy practice. And one of the simple exercises is take some time to just repeat back to someone exactly what they have said to you. And be careful not to add anything or even any inflection. Just repeat what the other person just said. And then switch, take turns, have the other person repeat exactly what you said. And while they are repeating your words back to you, listen, again, not to respond or retort or reply, but to get the full value of this exchange. And each time you do this, acknowledge when you are being heard and how good that feels. The next one is own your stuff. In conscious relationship, most challenges that arise are something for you to grow and heal. So at least be willing to look at yourself and look at yourself first before you think it is the other person. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's worth taking that moment to figure that out. Of Course in Miracles says the only thing lacking in any circumstance, condition, or relationship is the love that I am withholding. So to put that affirmatively, the thing that any relationship, any condition or circumstance calls of you is to be the most loving presence. That is what you are called to pour into it. In bad times or good, do that personal inventory to see where you might not be as loving or joyous or peaceful as compassionate as you could be. And then little by little begin to dissolve any of those hindrances, those hesitations, those obstacles to being that compassionate and loving presence. And as I mentioned before, it's important to take turns. Be clear when you need the other person to help you through a challenge and vice versa. Even new and fledgling relationships benefit from taking turns. Each person agrees to communicate their wants, needs, and desires. And when one needs some unconditional support from the other. In healthy, conscious relationship, there is balance and equilibrium in taking turns. There is no fixing the other. Support means spiritual, emotional, intellectual support. That for a while you set aside your needs so that you can be the one providing a safe harbor to the other person and their healing and growth. All relationships have amplitude, frequency, and phase differences. And understand that the relationship is not always going to be in sync in amplitude, frequency, and phase. At times, you might feel, the relationship might feel, the depth and breadth and strength of feeling, that is in sync, but the tempo and the phase of one's life are not. Or you might be in phase, meaning you're going through a similar life experience or life phase, and the depth and breadth of feeling is slightly different. So just allow that sometimes some things are going to be in sync and others not so much in sync, and these all just sort of ebb and flow. They sort of go in and out, and just to be mindful of that. As you both adopt and accept the long view, give each other the support and time, and the dynamics will naturally begin to sync with each other. It feels really good as that occurs. The intention, the ideal is for the strength and depth of feelings to be similar, the tempos align, and both folks appear to be experiencing and expressing in similar life stages. As a conscious relationship evolves, as it heals and grows through mutual intentions and practices, the relationship feels greater than the sum of its parts. Each person feels more free to be the spiritual being they are at their essence. So apply each of these practices to your relationships when and as you can, and notice that you feel better, you feel more free, and you feel more liberated. You are ready, willing, and able to look in that relationship mirror now. You incorporate that mirror data, what you're seeing in the mirror, into your personal spiritual practice. And as you do that, your relationships will start to take on these dimensions of mutuality and balance. You are then that more compassionate presence for yourself and anyone with whom you relate. So let's take a moment to turn inward for prayer. And I just call to mind and heart that presence that is that loving, compassionate force for good, central to all relationship. It is central to the relationship with the divine. It is central to that relationship with self. And it is central to that relationship with others. So there is this presence and power that is compassion, it is love, it is joy, it is well-being. And it is something that's moving and dynamic, and that is God, that is living spirit. And I know that every person, place, and thing, every relationship is infused with this infinite intelligence, this universal love, this feeling of godness, of goodness. It's there within, and it's there surrounding all beings. And therefore, I know I am one with it and I am one of it. And therefore, what is true for me is true for you too, that you are indwelled and surrounded by the same loving and compassionate presence, the same loving and compassionate power. And therefore, I speak my word that within every relationship is the light and love of living spirit. As we dedicate all our relationships to healing and revealing more love, more peace, more joy, and more compassion, there is this kind of golden cord that is a connection, a really positive, strong connection. And it brings forth this mutuality. The mutuality frees and liberates. In dedicating our relationships to living spirit, our relationships are blessed and divinely guided, and they become conscious relationships that free our hearts. In blessing the world as we are blessed, I give thanks for this answered prayer, for this communion in spirit, this connection. And I just release it all into the law of mind and action, knowing that as it is spoken, as it is thought, as it is felt, that it happens now, that love, peace, joy, and compassion is revealing and expressing and experiencing for me and for you. It's happening right now. And now it is, and so it is. Amen. Well, thank you very much for tuning in today. We will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vida Spiritual Connection. Please visit our website to submit a confidential prayer request. While there, sign up for our weekly email and receive the latest information for events, classes, and meetups. Remember to subscribe to Vida's YouTube channel, click like, and click the bell to get notifications. You can also find Vida on Facebook and Instagram. Whoever sows generously also reaps generously. Giving is a spiritual practice. As you bless the world, you are blessed. Your financial contribution to Vida Spiritual Learning Center is an investment in your spiritual education and flow. Your contributions support your spiritual growth and this show, so it's a win-win. Use the link on our website, drop a check in the mail, or Zelle your contribution to 562-928-6460 or to vida@vidaslc.org. Thank you for your generous support. Have a wonderful week and see you next time for the Vida Spiritual Connection.